Good morrow, scholars. Welcome back to Asylum. Um, I have to get Iggy food. I forgot to get it last night because I was hanging out with my friends. That's the reason for such late uploads. In addition to wanting to get something to eat. So sorry. And what else do I need to get? I'm going to get a container to put the rest of my Nerf blasters away. And I have half a mind to move Iggy away from the window since it's getting to be cold. Like, I could move that over here and put him against the wall. And then, like, put my bed over here. And then I can just raise it up when I'm not using it. I think I'd have a lot more room that way. I haven't decided yet. Anyway, we are in chapter 12, page 110. I feel like I was going to say something else. Dan shouted in surprise. In the glare of a new flashlight, he couldn't see who had grabbed him. He thought his heart would burst. Hey, chill out. Someone's going to get hurt down here. It was Joe, the red-headed hall monitor from the orientation meeting. Beep! Dan felt a bead of sweat slip down his temple. A sign and a big lock on the door weren't enough. How did you get in here anyway? Come on out, it's not safe. There's water damage everywhere, not to mention the rats. Dan swallowed hurt. There wasn't... We didn't... Didn't what? Didn't think? Now come on, get out of here. Joe turned around and in a flash, Dan pulled out the index card on Dennis Heimlein and shoved it into his pocket. Beep, Jordan groaned. I'm so burned. I've got this, Abby whispered. Just follow my lead, okay? Uh-oh. How could she be so calm? Dan's hands were shaking. He was full on sweating. This was not him. He was not a troublemaker. He was a reader, a studier, a rule follower. Who was this person who broke into offices and stole things? Joe waited for them to all get through the passage in the wall, shining his flashlight directly at their feet. When Dan stood up on the other side, Abby looked like she was rubbing her eyes furiously, getting dust all over her face. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I'm not great at impressions in the first place. Is she okay? Dan asked Jordan softly. Jordan shrugged. Joe motioned them all into the odd old reception area as he corralled them back into the first floor hallway. Dan frantically tried to think of a way to pretend this was all part of his classwork for Professor Reyes. Every excuse sounded more implausible than the last. Joe paused at the door to redo the padlock and said, Okay, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to... Suddenly, Abby burst into tears. Jordan immediately put an arm around her and she collapsed against his side. Okay. I have issues with my stutter. Also slur my words every now and then. I'm sure every now and then you can hear it. But I'm going to do my best not to stutter, even though the stutter is in the pages, because when I do, it comes back for like a week or two, and it bothers me. We're so sorry, Joe, she sobbed, wiping her tear-stained face. Her tears left actual streaks down her dusty face. We didn't mean to break any rules. We were just so curious, please. I'm so sorry. It was, in Dan's honest opinion, too theatrical, and Joe seemed to pick up on that too, rolling his eyes at her. But then Abby inhaled deeply and burst out with the rawest, most heartbreaking sob Dan had ever heard. Joe looked dismayed, and Dan could see his authority cracking before their eyes. Joe was thinking about what a monster he would be if he reported her. It'll be all right, Dan said softly, patting Abby's shoulder. It's going to be okay. For the love of... Just don't do it again, all right? I mean it. Don't. Joe shined his flashlight into each of their faces in turn. Abby nodded furiously when the light was on her. Now get back to your rooms. Rooms? Now. He marched off, muttering under his breath. My book, no! Sorry. Sweet Enola Gay. That was amazing, Jordan whispered when Joe was out of sight. Then he turned and pulled Abby into his arms, spinning her off her feet. An Oscar moment, if there ever was one. Thanks, she said, using the back of her hand to wipe the last of the tears. Without another word, she set off for the stairs. That was too close. Close? Closer than close. We got caught, Dan said, feeling as if he was resurfacing from the murky depths of a swamp. And to think he'd been on a date with Abby just hours before. A nice, normal date. They reached Abby's door. Geez, I need a shower, she said. She sounded like she wasn't even a little bit phased. But a shower did sound great. Dan itched from the dust and dirt that had settled over his skin, and the more he thought about it, the more it itched. Now I'm itchy. No. He'd be clawing at his skin soon, but he wanted to talk to Abby one last time before he went back to his room. He looked at Jordan, trying to signal with his eyes that he wanted some privacy to say goodbye to Abby, dusty or otherwise. Okay, on that note, Jordan said breathlessly, I need to go pray. A lot. I will pray to every freaking god there is, and thanks that I did not get my butt kicked out. He's going to have a long night ahead of him. Jordan trotted off up to the stairs, one hand in his pocket, the other pulling out his trusty die. Dan heard him whistle a little song as he went, the tune floating up and up before fading away. When he was sure they were alone, Dan said, I had a really great time tonight. Before the getting busted thing, obviously. Yeah, Abby replied. Something was distracting her, though. Her eyes went to his shoulder, then to the floor, and then finally to his eyes. I had fun, too. I'm sorry we got caught, and that you had to cry. But you were amazing. Really. We would have been in huge trouble without you. It was nothing, she shrugged, then she said abruptly, I'll see you in the morning, Dan, okay? He nodded, too fast, blowing whatever nonchalance he had hoped to project. Yeah, of course. Sleep tight. Tight. Tight? Tight. Abby. Beatrice. Oh yeah, I forgot. Almost said Beatrice. They both laughed nervously and looked at their feet. Whatever had been between them earlier this evening, if there had been something between them, was gone. Of course, all things considered, how could it not be? Well, good night. Abby gave him a quick wave and then went to her room. A dust bunny hung like a blur in her hair. He should have brushed it away. Let's see. How long is... Yeah, that's fine. Chapter 13. Something bad might happen. Did something bad happen in Chapter 4? What's your unluckiest number? What's your lucky number? Anyway, Dan was dead tired. I am too. As he started to climb the stairs, he couldn't believe it was only a little after 10. But his most pressing thought was not of sleep. With every step, he felt his energy surge. He had a card on the sculptor and a leather folder to go through. The closer he got to his room, the more wired he felt. Dan was relieved to find that Felix was still gone. He wanted to look at the stuff he'd taken in private. He pulled out the index card and the folder and put them on his desk. His fingers were repelled by them. The stench of the basement and his itch made him feel unclean, but he couldn't stop. He took a look at the index card first. M. Dennis, alias the sculptor, born 1935. DOA 5/15/1965. Reason for admittance: serial killer. Homicidal? Yes. Recovered? Yes. Yes. Dan was shocked by that last line. A serial killer? Recovered? How? How would they even know? Then something else caught his eye on the bottom of the right corner of the card. 3 handwritten numbers. 361. Suddenly, Dan was clawing at his shoulders, trying to stop the itch. The card sat on the desk, just as it was, but the 361 seemed to shimmer. Get a grip, Dan. He really had to calm down, take a shower. But first he took the card and folder and hid them in the drawer with the warden. Dan stood in the shower for a long time. Young had this way of talking about coincidences, one that Dan had always liked. Basically, he said that when people saw a meaningful connection between two moments, a coincidence, the connection wasn't because one moment led to another, it was because people's brains are always making connections. The sculptor was patient 361. His discovery couldn't be a coincidence. It was a connection. Dan fumbled with a towel and his clothes in haste to get back to his room. He grabbed the folder and flipped through the sheets of paper inside, invoices, employee evaluations. Dan gave everything a passing glance, but he didn't stop on anything until he came to a slip of folded paper. The sheet was torn, as if it had been yanked out of a journal or notebook. Dense, cursive handwriting filled the page. He sat on his bed and began to read. The very nature of his ailment continues to baffle me, and baffle us all. What is the source of this abnormality? Everywhere we observe plants, animal systems, with a core. Every flower has its seed, every animal its heart, every masterpiece its inspiration. Yet the answers I seek elude me. There is a root somewhere in his... Oh, this is the picture. And it's what I'm currently reading, in case you're wondering. Brain, a twisted brute that sprouts madness and malice. I will find it. I will find you. Anyway, no matter the cost, no matter the difficulty, I will find it. I will live a truly great life. My colleagues will no doubt hang me metaphorically, but I say let them hang. Legality, morality, sympathy aside, I will pull madness out by its black root, and I will leave a legacy no man, however sanctimonious, can fault. A truly great life. That is what humanity deserves. Not an average life, not even a normal one. A life in which genius is not an anomaly, but an expectation. But to achieve such things. And there the page ended. Dan flipped it over, perfectly aware that it was blank on the other side, but wanting to know more, much more. Without context, without a signature, the piece of paper wasn't much to go by. The writer of this page was clearly talking about curing someone who was insane, and he was talking about something unusual, some new treatment that he alone might discover. Dan's mind began to race. These weren't the musings of some random Brookline doctor. These had to be the ideas of its warden, and not just any warden. If he was to believe the conspiracy enthusiast Sal Leathers, the warden, the one who had changed Brookline's history and rehabilitated a serial killer. Rereading the journal page, Dan admired the warden's grand vision. This man was willing to try something revolutionary to cure insanity. He dared to be different, to challenge the status quo, even if he was rejected for it. Wasn't that a little of what Dan was like? Scorning the popular opinion, the popular crowd, and aspiring to something more? Whatever helps you sleep at night, I suppose. But this note wasn't just promoting intelligence, he thought. This was something a little more sinister. Genius is an expectation. Genius was nice and all, but you couldn't force it on people, could you? Besides, what kind of treatment could do something like that? What could put a Y next to recovered? He leaned back on his pillow, trying to put the pieces together in his head. The horrible photograph of the patient struggling, the piece of paper by the warden about a madman, the emails about patient 361, the sculptor. It all seemed to be adding up. But to what? Dan grabbed his laptop, went back to Sal Weather's website, and clicked Contact Me. He was totally just looking for an email address, but good old Sal had listed his full details, and Dan was shocked to find an address that wasn't just in New Hampshire. It was in Camford. Uh-oh. One of Professor Reyes's petitioners, I'll bet, Dan murmured. It now made sense that Sal Weathers would be so invested in cataloging and publishing Brookline's sordid history. He was probably hoping to get the place torn down. Part of him wished Sal lived across the country, or in Cambodia, so that the temptation to visit him wouldn't be so strong. But all signs were pointing to a meeting with this man, and Dan wasn't about to ignore a message from the universe. So it's official, he whispered to the computer. I'm obsessed. You get used to it. He stood in a cell waiting. Finally, a group of doctors came in, all wearing masks and gowns. Dan waited for them to hurt him, but they didn't seem to know that he was there. They stood around talking and jotting down notes on their pads. Notepads. Then Dan heard screaming. 2 orderlies came into the room, dragging a girl between them. She was barely 10 years old, and on her face was a familiar, pale, fright. And her face was familiar. There we go. Pale, frightened, with big, open eyes. Okay, fellows, let's get to work on her. At the sound of his own voice, Dan bolted awake. Even in his sleep, he couldn't escape. Let's see how long this chapter is real quick. Let's see, 122. Okay, we'll read one more. Chapter 14. Usually Abby beat him to the dining hall, but despite the late night and broken sleep, Dan saw no sign of her or Jordan as he got in line for breakfast. He heaped hash browns, eggs, and a few strips of bacon onto his plate and grabbed a bowl of cereal from the end of the buffet before heading to their usual spot, a circular table by the far windows. While he finished eating his eggs and bacon, he watched the other students filing in, but Abby and Jordan still didn't come. He started in on his cereal, taking his time with it. As the minutes ticked by with no sign of his friends, he became increasingly aware of the fact that he was the only student eating alone. He was used to this at his high school, but here he felt conspicuous, naked without his friends. Finally, he spotted Jordan, who looked even worse than Dan felt, if that was possible. "Hey," Jordan said, sitting down with a whoop. Big, nasty bags rimmed his eyes behind his glasses. "You all right? Looking a bit tired there." "I'm fine," Jordan snapped, sounding decidedly unfine. Dan glanced at the doors again. "Abby would know how to make this better." "She'll show up when she shows up," Jordan said. "Can't you even wait a second to see her?" He bit into an English muffin as if he had personally insulted him. "What the heck?" "Are you okay, Jordan?" Dan risked, knowing Jordan might go for him again. "I'm fine." "Geez, what is this, the Inquisition?" "Are you on my dad's payroll now?" The English muffin was dying a painful death in Jordan's tightening grip. A piece broke off and landed in his bowl of Captain Crunch. Jordan fished it out with his chewed-up fingernails. They fell into an uneasy game of looking anywhere but at each other. Given his options, get chewed at again or stare at his cereal, Dan chose the cereal. Could Jordan still be angry about last night? With 5 minutes until the dining hall closed, Abby finally made an appearance. She dashed to the fruit and granola line and grabbed a banana and a bowl of yogurt. Her usual sunny disposition was gone. Her eyes were half-lidded, and her pretty olive complexion was ashen. Olive complexion? She sat down with a quick "hey" and started eating without another word. "Hey," Jordan said. "Did you come down with something? You look terrible." "What are you talking about?" Abby glared. "Uh-oh." "Nothing, I was just saying you looked radiant. New makeup?" "Yeah, because sarcasm is exactly what I need right now." Dan tried to lighten the mood. "It sounds like someone woke up on the wrong side of the gurney." He immediately wished he had kept his mouth shut. Abby looked at him, her eyes flashing in anger. She dropped her spoon in her bowl, splattering yogurt all over her tray. "Actually, Dan, there was something important I wanted to talk to you guys about, but I guess it will have to wait." With that, she grabbed her tray and left the table. "Yeah, sounds like me." "Congratulations," said Jordan. "That might be the briefest relationship in the history of the universe." Well, there's that one marriage that lasted 45 minutes. And I'm sure there were others that were shorter. I don't know. Jordan finished his mangled muffin. "In fact, since you're not even technically a couple yet, it's sure to be one of those delightful death by silent treatment endings." "I don't know what that is. I don't know what it means. I'm not going to bother. But it sounds like it would be quel dommage." Anyway, what the heck did I do to make you guys angry? Wink, wink. But Jordan was already on his way out, and Dan ended up saying it to the back of his head. Dan's mood worsened in class when the professor showed a documentary he had already seen, which meant he sat for 2 hours in the dark, distracted, not a word of the film penetrating his brain, while he replayed breakfast in his head. Maybe it wasn't fair to expect Abby to be sunshine and daisies all the time. Everyone was allowed a bad day here and there. She might have gotten another disheartening text from her sister. Whatever the cause, Dan decided it was foolish to read too much into it. Abby would tell him what was wrong in her own time, and he would be there to listen when she did. He wouldn't let a bad breakfast spoil things between them. With that reasonable plan in mind, Dan felt his spirits lift on the walk back to Brookline. Neither Jordan nor Abby had said anything about lunch, so he figured he would try to fit in a bit of studying, or, he thought, his nerves coming to jittery life, he could make good on his self-promise to visit Sal Weathers. He'd have more than enough time if he hurried. Felix was in when Dan got back to his room. He was, as always, at his computer. It looked like he was browsing a bodybuilding forum of all things, and Dan noticed his roommate was sucking down something called Muscle Aid, which, judging by the strapping oil dude on the bottle, was some kind of prepackaged protein shake. Not Felix's usual diet, but then again, Dan had known the kid for a grand total of a week. Still, he thought Felix looked more buff than he had when he first arrived. His shoulders seemed broader somehow. Maybe protein shakes worked after all. "Hey," Dan said, going straight to his own desk. "Hello, Dan." Finishing his drink, Felix crushed the plastic bottle in his hand and threw it over his shoulder, and Dan watched, amazed, as it landed squarely in the garbage can behind him. "This is getting suspicious." "Nice throw," Dan said, trying to cover his surprise. A crisp white envelope waited on Dan's keyboard. His heart beat a little faster. Was it from Abby? An apology? Or maybe an invitation to go somewhere and talk? "Did you see who brought this?" Dan asked, opening the envelope. "No, it was here when I came in. I assumed you put it there before you went to breakfast." "Beep. I must have forgotten to lock the door this morning," Dan said. It was a hard habit to get into. Still, he could swear he'd locked things up that morning. "That's troubling," Felix replied, not taking his eyes from his computer screen. "Please don't let that happen again." "Sorry, man. I won't." Inside the envelope, Dan found a simple card made of thick paper. On it was a single line of spidery handwriting. A single question. Question: how do you kill a hydra? That was distressing. Dan flipped the card over. Answer: you strike at its heart. Oh my goodness. Oh dear. How many pages are in this book, I wonder? Wow. Way more than I thought there would be. It's about 300 on. Howdy. Anywho. Okay, I haven't forgotten Iggy. I think the turtles are hungry again, so I'll feed them as I'm getting ready to leave. I'm gonna get the things. I need to stop by my bank. What else? I might dress up as Michael Myers for Halloween. I haven't decided yet. A friend of mine, her birthday is in 8 days, and I have no idea when I should get her. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. Anybody else think of Spider-Man just then with that whole thing? Do you think someone is purposefully antagonizing each of them to, have it snowball and then going after each other? There you go. And how would they do that? Who is doing that? Anyway, let me know what you guys think, and until next time, goodbye, everybody. Man, I need to get something to drink.